Hey everyone, Miss GoElectric here. I'm at Pebble's headquarters in Fremont, California, and I'm super excited because we are the first ones to be invited by Pebble to take out their production version of their new all-electric travel trailer, the Pebble Flow. We're going to be taking this out camping for a few days to bring you a detailed review of the experience in this video, but back in 2023, we published our first detailed look at the Pebble Flow prototype. In 2024, we brought you a demonstration of some of its powertrain features, and in early 2025, we published a detailed walk-around of the production intent Pebble Flow with CEO Bing-Ray Yang. So if you want background information about the company or full specifications and features, then you can find links to those videos in the description below. This video is being published in December of 2025, and Pebble has already started delivery of their production Pebble Flows to their paying customers. For full disclosure, Pebble is paying the travel expenses related to this production, but they are not paying us, and they have no creative input on this video. So you can pull the Pebble Flow with any vehicle that can tow 7,000 pounds, but we are an EV channel, and although there are tons of different EVs that can tow this Pebble Flow, Tesla has provided us a Cybertruck. In this video, we're going to drive about 200 miles, and we're going to see if the Pebble Flow's efficiency features on the road live up to the hype, and if the convenience features at the campsite live up to the hype. Let's do it. First thing in the morning, we met up with Pebble's marketing and PR team, who showed us what we would need to know while camping. We used the updated Pebble app to remote control the flow. A 15-second safety stop has been implemented, which means moving in segments rather than a continuous fluid motion. Once the hitch ball was a few feet from the trailer tongue, I hit the magic hitch button and it automatically aligned, then lowered and locked onto the ball. I held a button to slowly retract the wheel, connected the chains, power hookup, and emergency brake lock, and we were ready to roll. The Flow's dry tongue weight is 680 pounds, which is about what this hitch receiver is reading. Before we leave, let's take a look at the state of charge of the 123 kilowatt-hour battery pack in the Cybertruck and the 45 kilowatt-hour battery pack in the Pebble Flow. So the Tesla Cybertruck is charged up to 98%, and that means that it would get us close to the about 325 miles of EPA estimated range if it's charged at 100% if we weren't towing something, but we are towing the Pebble Flow. So one great thing about the Pebble Flow is that it has a dual motor system and a battery pack to be able to help self-propel and help us with that range when we're towing. All right, so let's take a look at the Pebble Flow state of charge. Up in the top right corner, it says it's at 90%. And with it being a 45 kilowatt hour battery, that would mean that we have about 40 kilowatt hours of energy to use. And there are different trip modes for the Pebble Flow. And today we are going to be using the Easy Tow. So that mode turns on the dual propulsion motors and regenerative braking so that we can maximize the efficiency on this trip. The last thing before I take off is that we have made sure that the trailer mode is on, and the trailer profile in this case, as the Pebble Flow is listed here, shows that this has a trailer mass of 6,000 pounds. It is a little bit heavier than that, and that the dimensions are 16 by 8 by 8, and we know that this is about a 26-foot trailer. Now, with that information, the Cybertruck is projecting the mileage to be about 156 miles, which is about half of what we would expect without towing a trailer with its EPA estimated range. But we also have the ability to adjust the trailer brake gain, the trailer brake boost. It also has adaptive regenerative braking on amongst the other settings here. So let's hit the road. All right, so it is a beautiful day out here. It's 63 degrees. There's no wind, so the conditions are really nice. And the speed limit for a trailer is about 55 miles per hour in most places, and I'm traveling at about 60 miles per hour. Back in the Pebble Flow, the screens are telling us that the solar panels are bringing in about 500 to 600 watts, and the motors have been helping us with up to 15 kilowatts of power. And the regenerative braking has also been kicking in and has given us about 2 kilowatts. And I just decelerated to get off on this exit, and the Pebble Flow reported a recuperation rate of over 7 kilowatts. This particular Cybertruck is equipped with the full self-driving technology, but when you're towing a trailer, then you can't use it, but you are able to use the adaptive cruise control. So I have that turned on, and I've set my setting to 7 as far as the car length goes. So it's keeping it nice and comfortable, a good distance between the vehicles in front of me, and it's slowing down and speeding up with traffic. Generally speaking, it's not a lot of weight that I feel behind me that I'm pulling when this easy tow is on. So over the course of this drive, the Cybertruck is averaging 400 and about 40 watt hours per mile. And actually, we've had a Cybertruck for about 2 years, and over the lifetime of the miles that we've driven, which is about 15,000 miles, it averages about the same without towing anything. And with 33 miles left on this trip, the Pebble Flow is showing about 70% state of charge remaining. We made a quick detour to the grocery store and found the setup to be very maneuverable, even in a parking lot with fairly compact spacing. The rig was easy to park in a pair of spaces. I loaded up on ingredients to prepare several meals in the Pebble Flow and got back on the road to get to the campsite before dark. Let's have a look at the final efficiency data for our trip to the campsite. We traveled 95 miles and we used 44 kilowatt hours from the Cybertruck, which works out to 2.15 miles per kilowatt hour or 465 watt hours per mile. We also used 23 kilowatt hours from the Pebble Flow. Conservatively, we can round up to say that our consumption was about 70 kilowatt hours per 100 miles, or 700 watt hours per mile fully considered. As the sun set, we arrived at our campsite and disconnected the Pebble Flow out front. I used the iPad app to raise the wheel jack, steered into place, and plugged into single-phase 30 amp shore power. That process took about 3 minutes. All right, so now let's use the Instacam. So now what is happening is that the levelers are coming out, so the front jack goes down and then the jacks behind the rear wheels deploy. And now it's going to, once it's level, put down the 4 stabilizers. All right, now the stabilizers are down and set and the stairs are coming out, and that is the last portion of Instacamp. So that took like only a minute or two, so it was very quick. Now the last step for getting camp all finished up is to put the aero box down, and it's up in this position because when we were towing it on the highway, this helps for efficiency and drag, so it moves that wind up and over the trailer, but it blocks this window on the inside of the trailer. So since we're going to be here for a few days, we're going to put it down. So that is done here in the app. You just hold it down until it gets to its final position. All right, so it's getting late. We're gonna move our groceries in and we're gonna get some rest. We put away the groceries and emptied our suitcases. There was much more storage space than we expected or needed for this trip. We noticed the dinnerware situation was a bit chaotic. An integrated set or organized system which keeps items in place might be a cool package to offer. I got started making dinner and noticed the total system draw was about 2.3 kilowatts with climate control, induction stove, and microwave oven going. Even while cooking, we were netting a few hundred watts from the commonplace single-phase 3.6 kilowatt shore power. With dinner complete, it was time to sleep and get ready for a full day of camping with the Flow. All right, so it is the next morning and we've spent one night in the Pebble so far. So I want to go through some of the things that I've experienced and provide some insights for opportunities for improvement so far that I've seen, and also the things that I really enjoy about the Pebble so far. Now I'm holding this iPad because this allows me to control all of the features of the Pebble Flow and also monitor some of the details about state of charge and the tanks and all that. So I'll probably point out some of the statistics and figures on this iPad as we move through this whole experience. So let's start off with the exterior. Now, I thought that the automated magic hitch process was absolutely amazing and it worked flawlessly, but there are a couple other things that I would like to see automated within that process, and that is, for one, the tongue wheel. I wish that it would be included in that process to get it in its position while taking off. And also the aero box. I wish that that would automatically deploy with it and raise up to cover that window and provide that nice aerodynamic profile. So it might only save a couple minutes every single time, but I think that's the beauty of these systems that they offer here, is that it makes it automated and very simple for the user. Although all the controls for the Flow are accessed through the iPad, there is a physical button on the front of the exterior of the trailer to activate or deactivate the parking brake, and another to retract the tongue wheel. So you might have noticed too that there are cameras, and that one helped us out when it was using the Magic Hitch system to get it onto the hitch ball, but it has 5 exterior cameras total. Now, I asked Pebble before I took this out if there was a way to be able to use those cameras or to be able to see them in this system on the iPad, but unfortunately they said that there's no visibility for those right now. Those systems are going to be used for maneuvering the vehicle in the system with the remote control, and also for security purposes in the future, and hopefully with an over-the-air update they'll be able to provide those. Now, this glass here is really great for visibility when you're sitting in the dinette area. I love that. And with this aero box, it was really nice that it came up and covered most of that window when you were driving, because it protects it from any debris from the road kicking up. The next thing is this exterior storage, and it opens up to provide a really long tunnel that has tons of space, and it has lights in there so you can still see at nighttime, and a couple of outlets to be able to plug things in and recharge. And the cool thing about this is that you have access in the dinette area to be able to get into that tunnel area for storage. So if you want to bring things in from there, you can. Now, we're using the storage for the supply hose and for the portable cable to be able to recharge the Pebble Flow or other devices and adapters. There's also some camping chairs in there, but I feel like you could fit a lot in here, even if you wanted to put some blow up paddle boards or maybe even electric skateboard, you could. The Founders Edition also comes with a Starlink, which we used by plugging into the shore power. All right, so let's check out the tires here. Now, they're using an all-terrain Goodyear tire, and they say that this is a truck tire, but it is a single axle, a 3.5-ton axle to be specific. So it's very robust, but it is slightly concerning that there is only a single axle, and usually with a setup like this with this much weight, you would have a dual axle. Now, the commenters aren't wrong that there's more risk with one axle, but I see 2 advantages here. The first one is efficiency. So this has half of the contact patch, which means half of the friction in comparison to the dual axle setup. And the next thing is space. A second axle and a pair of wheel wells means that it would take up some more of that interior space, or even maybe functionality with the tanks or even the battery pack. So this is definitely a packaging advantage for Pebble. Now, if you do get a puncture, this comes with a tire mobility kit, so it has the ability to pump air into it and also has slime so that you can patch it up if it's an easy fix. Now, Pebble also offers a roadside assistance program, and it comes with the standard and the second trim level of a 3-year, 30,000 mile roadside assistance program. But if you get the Founders Edition like you see here, then it comes with a lifetime roadside assistance program. While we're on the topic of warranties, the Flow's general warranty is also for 3 years or 30,000 miles. While the motors are covered for 5 years or 50,000 miles, the battery is covered for 8 years or 80,000 miles, and the appliances have a warranty of 1 year or 10,000 miles. At the early stages of Pebble's production, the company has said that they will use their California headquarters for service and warranty needs, but they will also have mobile technicians and over-the-air diagnostics repairs as a part of their service plan. Eventually, they expect to announce an expanded nationwide service network. All right, so now we're here at the connections, and they're separated by these 2 panels. The first one we see here is the freshwater input, and then we have the energy input. So this is a CCS port, and we have the J1772 plugged in right now, which is AC power, and that can accept a maximum of 6.6 kilowatts. But the DC pins down on the bottom, this can also accept up to 50 kilowatts on a fast charger. So if you're going to a public charger to recharge it, you can do that. Now, Pebble also says that they're offering an adapter to be able to charge at the supercharging stations, but we don't have one for this particular trip. There's also a NEMA 1450 port, and this is great because you'd be able to, say, even recharge your EV from the Pebble's battery if you wanted to. And this is specifically for energy output. The exterior of the Pebble Flow is made of a composite material, but it comes in 4 different color choices. It measures 24 foot 8 inches long and 7 foot 7 inches wide with a height of 8 foot 9 inches. It has a ground clearance of 20 inches and a departure angle of 11 degrees. For this particular camping trip, I flew out to California, but if I was at home with any RV, I would for sure be bringing my e-bikes with me. Now, the interior of the Pebble Flow is really nice, and I wouldn't want to put my e-bikes in there and damage anything and scratch up any of the surfaces. But luckily, this comes with a tow hitch receiver. And this is engineered to support up to 160 pounds, so I would definitely be able to bring a couple e-bikes with me. I also like that they have included 2 opening exterior windows here so that you can have an open air feel. Now, it's cool that you can also have access to the faucet from the outside here by just swinging it around, but they also include screens. So if you do want to prevent bugs getting in, you can do that. I do like the fact that they are removable screens, but I think that they're kind of ugly, so that's why I've taken them down. The next thing here is that the Founders Edition comes with this awning, and I think it's optional on other trim levels, but the awning itself can be deployed through the iPad, and it has some exterior lighting that can also be turned on through the iPad. It is a strip light that's all on the base of this awning, but the temperature of the lighting is very cold and the interior lights are very warm, so I wish those kind of aligned a little bit more to give you that hearthy home life feeling. So finally is the solar panels that are on the roof of the Pebble Flow. There's 1100 watts of panels up there, and it's always charging, which I think is really cool. So not only are we charging right now with those, we are plugged in, but it was charging when we were driving down the road. And what's great about a system like this is that you could park the Pebble Flow for a couple of weeks, and if you have great sun for those couple of weeks, you could end up having a full charge. We noticed that the optional 1.1 kilowatt solar array could generate about 600 watts during the brief window of peak overhead sun this time of year. We estimated our gross daily input from the panels was between 3 and 4 kilowatt hours on the open highway and in parking lots with cloudless skies. When the weather is cold, it is a net benefit to park in the sun. The passive heat generated by sunlight heating the black body panels and windows helps to raise indoor temperatures and generates electricity. When we camp in the summer, we tend to select shaded sites to manage interior temperatures. During the summer months, the solar generation benefits of parking in the direct sun become less obvious. It's reasonable to expect the gains from solar panels would be largely offset by the extra energy required to negate the in-cabin thermal effects of the sunshine. We could expect to consume many kilowatt hours AC cooling and increased refrigerator workload. Of course, interior temperature matters most when the space will be occupied. All right, so let's head inside. First, we're gonna start off in the dinette area. Now, this area can fold down so that you can have 2 people sleep up here, and I fit nicely all the way across, and I'm 5'11", so it's good to see that it's wide. Now, this table folds down and you can unlock it from underneath, and then you can actually move the table back and forth, which just gives you a lot better ingress and egress. A couple other things that I like about this area is that it has this skylight. All of this is smart glass, so right now it's opaque, but with a push of a button, you can make it clear. There's an outlet here underneath the dinette, and I wish this one had USB ports built into it like some of the others. There are several zones for the lighting in here, and that includes the overhead lights, but it also includes this ambient light that wraps around the entire vehicle. You can see it all through the headliner, and it actually wraps around down on the floor as well. Now up here, I have noticed that it could have probably done a little bit better with the quality of it, but nonetheless, I love the effect that it has and that you can dim and change the amount of brightness it has. As you can see, there's a lot of lighting in this vehicle, but one place that it doesn't have enough lighting, in my opinion, is right above the sink here. Now, there is a light on the vent here above the cooktop and around this countertop area, but when it gets dark outside and there's no light coming in from this window and you want to do your dishes after cooking, it is dark and it's a little hard to see. So I would probably just buy some cheap under cabinet lighting that I can stick on right above here from Amazon, but at $175,000, I feel like it should come with it. Another thing about the lighting is that there is a switch to turn the lights off when you're in bed right over here on the other side of the cabinet. And when you press that light, it actually turns off all the lights inside the travel trailer, whereas it's not localized to just the bedroom area. So imagine that you have people sleeping in here and one of you wants to get up and use the bathroom. If you press this light, all of the lights come on. So it'd be really nice if they had another switch that had maybe the ambient lighting that turned on or more localized lighting. I really love the versatility of this space and how you can use it as a workspace, or you can quickly pull down the Murphy bed and you have a queen size bed to sleep in here. And what's great about that is you have a space for people to sleep in the back, and you also have a separate space up front on the dinette for people to be working if one person wants to be able to go to sleep. Another great thing about this space is when you have the bed folded down, the wall is a great surface for you to project onto, so you can watch movies and things like that if you want. I really like this space in the kitchen. It has a really big countertop. I don't like what the material is made out of because it's hard to keep clean. I would rather it be like a quartz or something similar to it, because right now it doesn't feel very premium. I like this induction cooktop because you can remove it and you can cook outside if you want. One thing that I would like to point out though is that this needs a 120 volt outlet to be able to plug into, and there's no exterior outlet to be able to plug in and cook outside on the Pebble Flow.
The interior of the RV measures 21 feet long, 7 feet wide, and 6 foot 5 inches high. We were impressed with the amount of storage space in the Flow, with 2 large closets up front, one with a bar to hang items. Under the dinette were a couple storage areas, and the kitchen had plenty of space with several drawers below and above the sink and countertops. Even the bedroom area had some storage to access when the bed is put up, and of course, the shelves above the bed area provided useful storage. Overall, the Flow felt spacious and like I had more than enough headroom, which is nice for someone like me at a height of 5 foot 11 inches tall and over 6 foot wearing these boots. The flooring is made out of a durable material that looks similar to my Rivian's Chili Witch. I expect it to be easy to clean. The Flow comes with a full-sized fridge with a small freezer, which we found spacious and met our needs for the short trip. The all-in-one microwave oven with convection cooking and air frying features worked great with the ability to adjust wattage.
Now, as far as this bathroom goes, I like the idea of the medicine cabinet. It has a lot of storage in here and it has the mirror off the front, but it sticks about 3 inches or so off the wall here, and it's positioned right above the sink where I need to get in and wash my face. Makes it really challenging. I kind of have to move my head in a certain position just to try not to spill water all over the place. So I wish that they would remove this storage system and maybe move it over here where you don't need to put your head so that you still have the storage, and then just place a mirror in front of there so it's more accessible.
Additional storage is available beneath the sink. The shower feels spacious enough, and I appreciate the built-in seat. The curtain edge is magnetic to seal the water in. The toilet contains a macerator which can prolong black tank lifespan by breaking down solids. Smart glass enables privacy when enabled and creates a more open feeling in the living spaces when disabled.
This iPad is magnetically mounted here and plugged in, so it can be always charging, but this is kind of the brain for everything in the Pebble Flow so that you can control all the different features of it. So right now we are in camp mode, and that's where you can make adjustments for whether that's your interior lighting, your stairs popping out, your unlocking and locking of the doors. You can also see a lot of the energy coming in and out of the Pebble Flow. And you can also monitor the tank levels. So you can see the status up at the top, 53% for freshwater, 21% in the gray tank, and 10% filled in the black tank. And you can also change your source from city to the tank, and you can empty out your tanks from here as well, or use the auto feature. And there's also a heater for the tanks and pipes if you want to turn those on and off if you're in colder climates.
We parked at 7:30 p.m. on Monday and departed at 11 a.m. on Wednesday for a total of about 40 hours parked. Outgoing readings showed usage of 21% of the 18-gallon black water tank, which works out to 3.8 gallons from toilet flushes. We filled 67% of the 37-gallon gray water tank, which works out to 24.7 gallons, used cooking 5 meals, washing dishes, brushing teeth, and 2 showers. At our rate of consumption, we'd likely have exhausted the 40-gallon freshwater in less than 3 days if we were boondocking without city water and septic hookups. Energy consumption is a bit less clear because we were connected to single-phase 30-amp service for the duration. Interestingly, when the battery reached 100%, it stopped charging like most EVs do. Even though the J1772 was connected, the fully charged battery depleted to 60% in less than 1 day. During our trip, the idle base rate of Pebble Flow energy consumption using no lights, heat, or appliances was about 300 watts, or 7 kilowatt hours per day. That works out to about 7 days of idle time to full depletion in the absence of incoming energy. While camping, our typical sustained rate of energy consumption running the heat pump, cooking, and powering our computers was 1,350 watts, or about 32.5 kilowatt hours per day. At that rate, a fully charged 45 kilowatt hour battery would be fully depleted in less than 2 days. We did not run the tank and pipe heater, which would be required if temperatures were to drop below 32 degrees Fahrenheit.
After we filmed all day, we had a great steak dinner, and then we watched some scuba videos on the projector, which was really cool, and then we got a good night's sleep. So the next morning, we had the opportunity to take 2 showers, and we used city water on one of the showers, and that worked really wonderfully. And the temperatures as far as the hot water was really great, and so was the pressure. So I switched from the city water to the tank water for my shower, and I found that the water from the tanks was not getting as warm as what I was experiencing with the city water, and it felt, I would say, lukewarm. It wasn't cold, but it was bearable enough to take the shower. So because I was using the tank water, the water pump had to kick on, and that was noisier, but I did appreciate the pressure of the water. And as far as the space went, I'm 5'11", and I thought it was very comfortable. Before we started our trip back to Pebble headquarters, we wanted to use the auto dump system. So basically what that does is it flushes the tanks. So all you have to do is press a button after you get the hose retracted. And it took maybe about 10 minutes or so, and it was really simple and easy and convenient. And once that was done flushing, we just retracted the hose back in and coiled it up and put it back in the access panel. It was great. Next, we pushed the Instacamp button, and it lifted the stabilizers and the levelers and put the stairs in, and it happened all within a minute. It was really fast and simple. Then we took the remote control portion and kind of pulled the Pebble Flow out of the spot a little bit, and then pressed the magic hitch button, and it automatically attached itself to the hitch of the Cybertruck. Now, as we talked about, we used less than half of our energy in the Cybertruck to get to our campsite, so we did not need to stop and charge, but we decided to stop and charge the Cybertruck on our way back because we knew we would be taking some different routes and filming some other scenes before we returned to Pebble Flow. So we stopped at a supercharger and we detached the Pebble Flow and pulled the Cybertruck into the supercharger stall and got maybe about 20 kilowatt hours just as a buffer. On the way back, we stopped and took in some ocean views, and we were actually averaging about the same as what we were on the trip down to the campsite, about 500 watt hours per mile. So that would be equivalent to about 2 miles per kilowatt hour. Throughout most of the trip while we were driving, we had the easy tow function turned on, which helps self-propel, which is why we could get those efficiency figures. But it also has the ability to turn that feature off, and it has a recharge mode. So what the recharge mode does is it adds drag to the tow vehicle with the regenerative braking system, and it recharges the Pebble Flow's battery. And what we were seeing as far as figures goes was that it was getting up to about 5 kilowatts, which is very similar to the equivalent of what you could get for a level 2 charge with this vehicle. So as far as all the statistics goes, here is a page that outlines all of those details.
We traveled 95 miles with several stops and detours. We used 48.3 kilowatt hours from the Cybertruck, which works out to 1.96 miles per kilowatt hour or 509 watt hours per mile. We also used 11.3 kilowatt hours from the Pebble Flow. Conservatively, we can round up and say that our total energy consumption was about 62.7 kilowatt hours per 100 miles, or 627 watt hours per mile fully considered, a nearly 10% overall efficiency improvement compared to our trip down. Factors include a lower speed return route, setting the Pebble Flow into efficiency mode at the onset, and ideal solar generation conditions with our trip transpiring under peak sun position and cloudless skies. We also demonstrated the recharge feature for about 5 minutes, which resulted in some net energy loss. Overall, we averaged 1.5 miles per kilowatt hour or 666 watt hours per mile over 190 miles. With a total of 168 kilowatt hours usable, our maximum real-world range extrapolates to about 252 miles with this particular configuration in these conditions.
So now I want to go through the top 3 opportunities for improvement that I see for the Pebble Flow, and then we're going to get into the top 3 absolutely amazing positive features that I love about the Pebble Flow. So the first opportunity for improvement has to be the heat pump. This system, I tried setting the temperature to like 75 degrees, and the temperature could only get up to about 70 when it was 45 degrees outside. So it seemed like there was maybe a 25-degree delta that it could handle, but it couldn't get anywhere further past that 70-degree mark. But another thing about the heat pump system is that when it was on, it was very noisy the whole time. At night, during quiet hours, this electric RV was the loudest out of everyone at the park, and that really surprised me because I thought electric, it would be quiet.
It turns out the heat pump's refrigerant or line set was improperly calibrated at the factory. After we left California, Pebble told us they fixed the problem with that specific unit and offered us an opportunity to refilm this review, but we were not able to make that work. Pebble assured us that a normally operating flow heating system is quieter, more effective, and uses less energy compared to our experience.
The second opportunity for improvement has to be the battery. I would love to see more capacity. Based on the energy we were using, we wouldn't be able to get 2 full days out of this battery. And we were also noticing that even when we had it in energy savings mode, it was drawing more than 300 watts consistently every hour. The energy savings mode turns off basically all the unnecessary systems, the lights and things like that, but it leaves on the power to the fridge and the fundamental systems. The last of the 3 big opportunities for improvement has to be the price. Now, this one that we're sitting in is $175,000, and that is a much smaller audience that's going to be able to afford something like this. Now, you can get the lower priced version that has less features at about $140,000, and the base one that doesn't have the propulsion technology or anything like that at $109,000. But I think there could be a wider audience that could enjoy this type of technology at a price point under that $100,000. So with scale, hopefully they'll be able to get the prices down and more people will be able to afford a Pebble Flow. So now let's move on to the positive, and it was really hard to narrow it down to just 3 because I really loved this Pebble Flow, and there are so many amazing features. The first positive has to be the convenience factor and how accessible it is to use the Pebble Flow. And I mean that because of the remote control technology, how easy it is to get into a parking spot and move it around freely. The Magic Hitch system, where you don't even have to sweat to have it attached to your tow vehicle. The Instacamp, where setup took like a minute to get this all situated and leveled out. And also the auto dumping feature, which is like the worst part of RVing, made it so simple and easy and clean. There are a lot of people that would never consider getting into RVing, but if they saw how easy it was with all these systems, I think they would jump right in. Now, I personally think that most travel trailers are ugly, but this brings me to my second big positive, which is how beautiful I think the Pebble Flow is, not only from the outside, but also from the inside. And when we were stopped at the supercharger or even just a couple places to take pictures and videos, we had people stopping us and commenting on it and telling us how much they thought that it was really beautiful as well. The parts of the aesthetic that I also appreciate have to be the lighting, the materials in here, and also the layout. I thought it was very functional, and I really appreciated the fact that there were two separate convertible sleeping spaces. And the third and final huge positive that I see here has to be the smart glass for me. I was so impressed with how every single one of these panels, with the press of a button, you could either see out if you wanted to, or you could block everything out and make sure nobody could see in. Now, obviously I've seen this in automotive, but usually it's just maybe one panel above your head, but to have so many of the windows in here have that feature, it was super impressive. Well, I hope this video of our experience in the Pebble Flow was helpful, and I really want to thank the team at Pebble for inviting us to shoot our 4th video with the Pebble Flow. It is so inspiring to see them put this all together and work so hard for just a little startup to get this going, and it's been really cool to see it from the very beginning. And I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you'll subscribe to stay tuned for more content like this. Well, until next time, drive, fly, ride. Go electric.